Nintendo versus Reddit, a battle as poignant as Naruto versus Sasuke. And when I say poignant, I mean I truly couldn't care less about either character to really care who wins. Welcome back to Words Paradise. I'm your host, Leon Idol. And yes, from Polygon, Nintendo sues Reddit mod for $4.5 million. Says it is nowhere near enough money for the harm it caused. Now, I'm not trying to sound like a Nintendo shill, but it's really difficult when the other defendant in this party is, Reddit, which is a scourge on this earth. Nintendo says the amount is reasonable, and they could have asked for way more. So we're getting into this article. Before we do, hit that subscribe button. I'm a nerdy news channel. I cover nerdy news every day. And yes, on Reddit, there's a bustling community dedicated to piracy on the Nintendo Switch with more than 238,000 subscribers and thousands of active users at any given moment. Now, to Nintendo's credit and defense, which is probably the only time you'll hear me say that during this video, it's not like this is for the SNES or the NES or the GameCube. The Switch and Switch 2 are consoles that are actively being developed, actively being sold, games that are actively being developed and actively being sold. It's not like this is a case where, Nintendo is refusing to make these old games available, therefore piracy is the only way. That being said, you burned up all goodwill with me, and I'm sure many other consumers when you started going after Palworld or people that want to stream ROM hacks of your games or shutting down Smash Bros. Tournaments. I mean, the list goes on and on. The subreddit encourages fans to support their favorite developers financially, but anyone who frequents it could, in theory, find piracy resources on how to illicitly obtain games for the Nintendo Portable. The Japanese company isn't just standing by and allowing piracy to happen out in the open. Oh yes, we're very aware of this. However, again, taking it back to Palworld, it's very difficult to take what Nintendo finds as piracy particularly seriously when they complain that Palworld infringes on their incredibly broad patents when they never went after, let's say, Digimon or Monster Rancher or Duel Masters or Yokai Watch or these others, and they only went after Palworld when, it was a threat to them because people were downloading it and they got scared. But again, technically, this is one of the rare legitimate piracy cases that Nintendo is referring to. In early October, Nintendo filed a motion against James Archbox Williams, an alleged community leader who copied, distributed, and promoted Nintendo Switch piracy to a wide audience. In retaliation, Nintendo is seeking $4.5 million in damages from Williams. Now, to be fair, the initial statement that they could probably go after a whole lot more is actually likely true. I mean, if we're talking about you've got 238,000 members of this subreddit, every single game being, let's just say, $60 to $70 if this is the Switch and the Switch 2, and then you've got, I can see the number actually being notably higher, especially when you take into effect court fees and things which will be noted in the article as well. That being said, Nintendo is a multi-billion-dollar company. Billion. With a B. So $4.5 million, that's a drop in the bucket for them. That is. That is a financial drop in the bucket. They would not notice. If you were to somehow hack Nintendo's financial servers in their bank account and siphon off $4.5 million, I promise you, they wouldn't even notice. Comparatively to a regular Joe Schmo like us here, that is life-altering money, for the better, or in this case, the worse. The number is somewhat speculative in the sense that Nintendo is not arguing the company suffered $4.5 million in losses. Rather, it arrived at that number by looking at similar cases like one involving Bungie and Cheapmakers, where the Washington-based company is awarded millions in damages. Well, hold on. The plot thickens. So Nintendo is stating here that, yes, we can't prove we suffered $4.5 million in damages, but we have looked at other video game lawsuits in the West and saw that they are taking millions in damages, so why not us as well? Maybe I'm wrong, and I don't know enough about the legal system in either Japan or America, and this is happening in America. Don't you need actual proof of damages? And the reason I bring this up is, let's say that you don't own a Switch or a Switch 2, but you are able to download files for Breath of the Wild. Now, Yes, that is wrong. That's piracy. No one's arguing against that. That is a crime. That being said, is it fair to say Nintendo lost money, that there was financial damages if the individual in question didn't own a Switch or Switch 2 and they were never going to buy a Switch or Switch 2? Like, you can't really lose money on something that was never a product to begin with, or someone going to buy a product to begin with. If I was never going to buy a Switch, let's say I'm diehard anti giving Nintendo money like I am Wizards of the Coast, however, really wanted to play the new Zelda game, and so I found a way to run it on my Steam Deck, which can be done, by the way, then yeah, no, Nintendo didn't lose anything, because that money never had a chance of being in their pocket to begin with. Now, I doubt that's the argument that the lawyers will go with, but the point is, if they can't prove this $4.5 million in damages, and they're just looking at precedent from other cases, I don't know, that seems a little strange to me. Here, the amount of money sufficient to remedy Nintendo of America's injury would be extremely difficult to quantify, but it is indisputable that such amount would be large, the filing reads. It's a very vague term, large. Like, are we talking, millions upon millions, if not billions of dollars large? Or are we talking like the average woman you see at Walmart large? Like, large has a lot of meanings here. Therefore, the money at stake by this motion is nowhere near the amount that would compensate Nintendo of America for the seriousness of defendant's conduct. The filing claims that Williams sent thousands of messages on Reddit to other users, directing them to piracy websites, at times offering technical support for the issues fans might encounter while attempting to mod their Switch. Well, wait a sec. Who cares if you mod your Switch? Again, this is one of the things that I kept pointing to when people were throwing a fit about the Switch 2. Like, oh my goodness, they're going to brick your Switch 2 for modding it. Yeah, I get it. You don't like that. I don't like that either. But this has been part of the terms and conditions since the Xbox 360. There were people that were, I don't know if they were arrested per se, but there were people that were sued for modding their 360s. There were people that were sued and suffered legal ramifications for modding their Wii and their Wii consoles. So yes, this is nothing new in the realm of gaming. We can talk about whether that's good or bad. Like, that's neither here nor there. The fact of the matter is, when people were freaking out about that being part of the Switch 2's terms and conditions, it just goes to show that they did not read the terms and conditions for any of the other consoles they bought in the last 20 years. But yes, I, of course, am of the opinion that you bought it. It is yours. You paid the money, your device. Do with it whatever the fuck you want. And that would include modding the goddamn thing. Now, after you mod it, if you use piracy or legal means to steal games that are, actively available on store shelves, I actually do think there should be ramifications for that. Like, look, I'm very pro high seas. I am. But the law is law, so if you're dumb enough to get caught, then you should, suffer some legal ramifications. Williams reportedly asked for donations of Nintendo eShop gift cards in exchange for his services. The Japanese company believes that Williams created, operated, supported, and promoted piracy websites that allowed users to download extensive libraries of Nintendo Switch games. Now, if that's the case, don't hate the player, hate the game. Don't hate the player, hate the game. Nintendo, isn't it you that switched from discs back to the cartridge-based, format for the Switch because it was harder to pirate? Sounds to me like you guys just bet on the wrong horse. You made a bad decision. Like, you can't get mad that people found a way to crack your code when you thought you were being all so genius and shit. And also, if humans see a loophole in the system, if people find a way around, the rules, to skirt the rules, to cheat, basically, they're going to take advantage of it. Like, it's not like Homeboy created and maintained and operated the piracy websites. He just directed others to them. And yeah, you could have a bitch fit about that, but Google could do the same thing. DuckDuckGo could do the same thing. Are you going to sue DuckDuckGo or Google because you can find the links to these piracy websites via a well-articulated search? No, you're not going to do that. And the reason you're not going to do that is that would be one hell of a legal battle. Nintendo versus Google. God damn, that is something I would love to see. No, you're going after an individual who very obviously doesn't have $4.5 million because it's the easy victory. And that's what Nintendo's all about. Nintendo's all about taking the easy victories, the layups. They'll go after the regular Joe Schmo like you and me and ruin them for life and come up with these justifications such as piracy is bad for our business, which is objectively true, but 4.5 milli to a regular everyday citizen compared to, again, Google or DuckDuckGo or any of these other search engines that easily take you to the same places. Yeah, obviously Nintendo's going after the small fries in this. In the lawsuit, Nintendo also says that it attempted to work with Williams by sending a cease and desist letter in March 2024. In it, Nintendo urged Williams to shut down his pirate shops. Well, again, where's the proof he has pirate shops? Like, you say he was directing them to websites, but you don't mention that he owns or operates or maintains the websites. And to be fair, maybe he does. But based on what we're seeing in this article, there's no evidence of that. While Williams initially seemed receptive, Nintendo alleges that the progress came to a halt as Williams denied involvement with any piracy shop and apparently became combative. So, you send Homeboy a cease and desist. He says, I don't do any of this. And you say, alright, we're suing you. Like, again, obviously, if he is doing things that are full-on illegal, yes, something should just be done because that is the law. But like the way this article makes it out is like Nintendo's just upsetting spaghetti because they can't find the culprit. And they're looking for anybody. Like, oh, we told this dude to shut down his piracy. And he said, I don't have anything to do with it. He's combative. Let's sue him. You can't really, like, get pissy at people for being combative. You're allowed to be combative. Japanese people are such fucking pussies, dude. Eventually, Williams apparently deleted his online posts that could imply culpability. I mean, smart move, but we live in an era where everything is screenshot and screen grabbed and put on the internet archives, and, like, yeah, it's too little too late. If you're, again, I'm A-okay with cheating the system. If you're gonna cheat the system, you gotta do it the smart way. Nintendo Switch has long suffered a piracy problem where tech-savvy users have been able to maintain major releases before they're even available on shelves. This is true. Again, Tears of the Kingdom hit the internet, I think, 3 to 4 days before it was actually released on the Switch 2. I had the opportunity to download it and play it on PC. I opted not to because, well, frankly, I'm a Zelda fanboy and I want to play Zelda on the native hardware. I want to play it the way it's supposed to be played. If it weren't for that, yeah, I probably would have done it that way as well. Franchises from Pokemon to Legend of Zelda have leaked ahead of their intended schedule, and to curtail this phenomenon, Nintendo has increasingly sought litigation against fans who, in its view, are notable figures in the piracy community. Previously, which, again, I can objectively state that yes, it is wrong to pirate things that are actively being sold on store shelves as opposed to it being for game preservation. Conversely, Nintendo can eat a bag of dicks because they're the most litigious company on the face of the earth and they fuck over creators and other businesses and video game corporations and gamers the world over on a daily basis, so fuck them. I ain't got no sympathy. Even if Homeboy, like, first of all, innocent until proven guilty. All of this is just alleged right now, but even if Homie is guilty of every single one of these things that they are claiming, I still support him and think that it's A-okay, purely on the basis and the grounds of fuck Nintendo, you reap what you sow, you litigious boot-licking, dick-eating, cock-sucking pieces of shit. Previously, Nintendo had been awarded millions in numerous lawsuits involving pirate websites while also going after hardware hackers and users who sell programs that facilitate piracy. It also has pursued fans and attempted to live stream pirated video games. Now, this is an interesting one because I have actually live streamed a Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time ROM hack. Now, that is a ROM hack, and I don't know if that's against the rules per se, but I own a copy of Ocarina of Time. My copy of Ocarina of Time is hacked, therefore it's not illegal to do that. People are very nervous about doing, ROM hack versions of Nintendo games and whatnot on stream because, well, they can wipe out your whole ass channel. And I understand being, nervous about that. But by the same token, how are they going to prove anything? I didn't have any issues with it. It didn't get copyright claimed. I never got an email. It was fine. It was just a ROM hack version of Ocarina of Time that was basically made into a sequel. And it was a good old time. We had fun with the stream on it. Incredibly difficult game, but still, fun nonetheless. People involved with selling, disseminating, or flash cartridges necessary to pirate video games. In a couple of instances, Nintendo has worked with the FBI to go after pirates, and at one point, claiming its experience over 170 million in lost game sales. The FBI, spending all their time palling around and butting up with Nintendo to go after people trying to play video games, rather than going after those that fucked literal children on Epstein's Island. The world we live in, boys and girls. Nintendo generally wins lawsuits of this nature, but not without some unexpected twists and consequences. In September 2025, for example, a Switch modder tried to fight Nintendo without an actual lawyer. Dumbass. Only to be fined $2 million. Perhaps the most infamous legal battle involved a man named Gary Bowser, who was sent to prison in his involvement with a piracy website. Bowser will likely spend the rest of his life paying Nintendo back over the lawsuit, despite beginning monthly payments while still incarcerated. Bowser claimed Nintendo received $25 checks from him in a rigmarole intended to spook other people from attempting piracy themselves. In the case involving Williams, Nintendo maintains that the $4.5 million is a conservative figure that is not nearly as punitive as it could be. Nintendo's elected not to seek statutory damages for Williams' DMCA anti-trafficking violations, even though such damages could be several $million, the filing reads. As a further gesture of reasonableness, Nintendo of America has also elected not to pursue recovery of its attorney's fees and costs, which it is entitled to. Well, isn't that nice? Good guy, Nintendo. Look, we're going to sue you for $4.5 million, random private citizen. But just be glad we're also not asking for the lawyer's fees, because, we're reasonable. Like, that's how this reads. It is the most self-aggrandizing, look what we are, look how such good guys we are. Like, this is the equivalent of the king and, like, ancient, maybe not ancient, but in medieval times. You got this king, and he cuts everybody's heads off, full guillotines all day, every day. And then he has the gall to say, yes, I cut their heads off, but at least I didn't cut their balls off. That would be insane. And yeah, so here we are. Nintendo going after yet another individual for alleged piracy. And again, I get it. Piracy is technically illegal, and so I can't exactly say Nintendo is fully in the wrong here. However, I can say that as a long-time customer of Nintendo, and as somebody that loves the Mario games and the Pokemon games, and especially the Legend of Zelda games, you have turned me against you when you started going after individuals for streaming your games, or putting together Smash Bros. Tournaments, or going after Power World and Pocket Pair, you dick-eating sons of bitches. So yes, thanks to you and your actions, I'm on the side of the pirates. Go fuck yourself! But these are just my opinions. Let me know yours in the comments down below, or let me know on X. You can find me at Bolt the Ward, and please do subscribe. I am a nerdy news channel. I cover nerdy news every day. Not always about what's going on with Nintendo, but anime, movies, music, Magic the Gathering, you name it. Check me out on Instagram at wordsofparadise_Leon and become a member for $4.99 a month. You can join the Discord. Choose the articles you go over on a day-to-day basis. Choose the videos we react to on the Friday night live streams. And of course, get involved with over 200 other vital idols. We are a bright, beautiful, glowing, vibrant community that I cannot wait to grow even further, because we do care about diversity. Only one kind of diversity of thought. If that's interesting to you, join the Discord, subscribe. Until next time, it's all here in the Nerdosphere. This has been Words of Paradise.